Hey everybody, Billy from Billy's Bike Adventures. Thanks for tuning in today and watching the video. Now, as you can see, wearing with pride the ABR 2022 Festival t-shirt. Hope you went to and had a good time. If you did go, you probably would have seen SW Motech were there. They had a Tenere at the front of their tent. Not mine, not this model, but this year, but 2022 model, and they had it kitted out with some of the SW Motech kit. Looked really, really good. I got talking to them about the ergonomics of the Tenere that they had there, as well as mine. Talked about the seating position and the pegs, all good for me from a riding position and a seated or a standing position when I'm on the bike. But the handlebars are a little bit low for my liking, especially when I'm standing, and they suggested that I try some of their bar risers, and they were very kind enough to send me some. This is their bar back variable bar risers, and it comes in a 22, a 28 and a 32 mil increase in height on your handlebars. The good thing about these ones as well, once you've got them set up, you can actually move the handlebars backwards and forwards. So not only do you get the increase in height that you require, but you can also move them backwards and forwards or away from you or towards you to really find the sweet spot level of comfort with the ergonomics and the setup on your bike. So I'm going to show you how to fit these onto my Tenere. So I'm going to show you how to install them, some of the things that you need to consider, and then I'm going to get out on the road and give them a try, and I'll come back and give you some feedback. Right, let's show you what's in the box first of all. So you of course have the two sets of the bar risers there. You've got your instructions and your warranty and things like that, and you've also got a bag of bolts as well. So this is one of the fun things about having motorbikes, right, and owning motorbikes, is that I like to do as much as I possibly can to the bike myself for whatever I need to do. But on this channel, I do that off my own accord. I'm not an expert in any of this stuff with motorbikes. I've never been a motorbike mechanic or motorbike builder or anything like that. I just do it and I share my experiences with you. So please don't take this from a professional point of view, because I'm not a professional. I'm just a guy that likes motorbikes, enjoys tinkering and fiddling with them, and I'll give you the best guidance I possibly can, but it's not professional guidance, so please bear that in mind. First thing you're going to need to do is get a 6mm hex head and remove the bolts from the handlebars as they sit already. Now what I've already done is that I've marked in pencil so that I can rub it off. I've just marked the center of where the handlebars are seated now, in line with the stem of the handlebars, and also I've marked the edges, the inside edges of where the handlebars sit on the current settings with the handlebars. So that's just so that I can make sure that I get it as near as damn it back into the same place in terms of its central location. So first things first, let's start to unscrew these hex head bolts. So that one's all ready to come off. And that one's off. So first things first, we need to put the base of the handlebar risers on first of all, and that is on without the handlebars resting in there. And what you want to do is that you want to make sure that the lug nut or the lug screw on the outs is sitting on the outside. Okay, so the lug screw sits on the outside, not the inside when you put these on. So when putting your bolts in, just put a bit of thread locker on them. Don't tighten them up all the way to begin with, but they do require some thread locker. So just finger tight to begin with. Put the other one in place. Let's thread locker the other one as well. These two have now got thread lock on. So the next thing to do now is to mount the lower half of the bar risers on, and as you can see here, you can just about make out they've got 5mm increments in terms of sliding the handlebars back and forth when they're on the base plate. So they're just going to slide over first of all, and then there's a lug nut just on the inside there. So I'm just going to put that lug nut in and screw it up just to make sure that the base plate doesn't move. And I'm going to do the same with this side. The 0mm setting, so that's the distance that moves back and forth. Okay, so at the moment they're on the 0 setting, so I will be able to move these closer to me if I want to, once they're set up correctly. And you'll note that the pointy end of the lower half of the bar raisers that I've just put on, they point forwards to the bike, not backwards to the tank. Okay, so make sure you put those on correctly. Then with this done now, nothing's done fully tight yet, but don't worry about it, because you will be able to tighten all the relevant screws that I've put in, all the bolts that I've put in, without taking the handlebars back out. So we've got to remount the handlebars. Okay. Now, because these are slightly wider than the clamps that came off, I'm using the central point that I marked on the handlebars to line it up with the stem, or the central part of the triple stem. So that is just about back where it was before. Is I'm going to put the first clamp, the top of the clamp, on this one, and again so the other 4 bolts, and it's recommended we use some thread locker. So that's the first one going in. That's the second one. Now you're going to need your 5.5mm hex head for this, just to finger tighten, finger tight. So they're looking pretty central. I'm quite happy with those at the moment. So what I'm going to do now, the beauty of these now is that you don't have to take these off to be able to tighten up all the bolts that you've used. And so using a 4mm hex, you can unscrew the lug nut, not all the way out. Same on the other side. Slide the bars back, and I can slide them back enough that it exposes the 2 top bolts on the lower base plate on the bar risers. So I can now tighten those up, and that's going to require the 5.5mm. So that one's now tight. I'm just going to give them a 1/4 turn with the longer lever, and I'm going to push these all the way forward to expose the other 2 bolts. At the bottom end of the lower base plate. So I'm going to tighten those up first of all, and then a 1/4 turn to make sure that they're tight with the longer lever. I'm happy with that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finger tighten the lug nuts to lock the, I'm actually having to use my hex head for this. So if the lug nut is sticking out, then you need to just push the handlebars back and forth ever so slightly, just to make sure you get the lug nut to screw all the way in. That's really, really important. If the lug nut is screwed all the way in, then it hasn't been set up correctly. There we are, make sure that's tight. Quarter turn with the longer lever on this side. And there we are. That is the bar back variable from SW Motech installed on my Yamaha now. What I've got to do now is I've got to get outside and test ride it to make sure I've got the right position for the handlebars. The one thing I haven't done yet is I haven't tightened the handlebars up properly, so they're going to get, sorry, the top of the clamp, haven't tightened that up properly, so they're going to get a full quarter turn to make sure that they are sitting tight. That's tight. That's tight as well. Right, so all the bolts are tight now, so don't forget to make sure that you do all the bolts up once you've installed. Got to get out on the road and test it now and see what they feel like. So my seated position on the bike with the bar raisers on now is, you can still see that the arm has a decline on it, and so that's going to help blood flow to the arm. You don't want your arms up too high. That's going to stop blood flow or slow down blood flow to your hands and your lower part of your arm. So that for me is actually pretty comfortable. I'm happy there. And let's talk about standing position. So when I'm up on the pegs, got my knees locked into the side of the bike, I can very comfortably, without leaning too far forward, I can very comfortably reach my handlebars, my handle grips. And what that means I can do is that I can comfortably stand up and keep control of the clutch and brake as well. But also what it means is that I haven't got to get down too far to allow myself for my elbows to come out to help with the steering as I move. Whereas before handlebars were lower, so I was having to come down extra low to be able to have my elbows out to help with the steering as I moved around on the bike. Because they're a little bit higher, I can actually do that quite comfortably. Oh, thank God I put these SW Motech bar back variable bar risers on. Oh, it's made a hell of a difference actually. Just being, really has made a difference. So my trip to Thetford with the T7 and the bar risers on gave me two things. One, it gave me motorway riding experience. And so when I was on the motorway, you could see in a clip earlier how straight my back was when I was showing you the seating position. So I felt that on the motorway. So I didn't have any arching forward, no hunching forward. Arms felt very comfortable, slight decline in the arms, no aching in the wrists or the hands. And I was very, very comfortable. So I was really pleased with the riding position that the bar risers gave me. On the track in Thetford, I was able to stand up on the pegs, lock my knees into the side of the bike, and I was able to reach the handlebars very comfortably without too much of a leaning forward. Whereas previously, I would have had to have leant forward to the point where it was a little bit uncomfortable after about 10 or 15 minutes. But the bar risers has made a difference, and I was able to have my elbows out and be able to control the bike in a much more comfortable position, riding position for me. Now, whether it's the right one or not, I don't know. I'll leave the experts' feedback on that, but for me it was very, very comfortable. And even when I was sitting down in the seat, I was still able to have good control of the bike, even when it started to snake a little bit in the sand. So it was really good. So overall, I'm really pleased with both the motorway riding and the track riding that the bar back variable risers give me. So I think overall, if you are looking for some bar risers, I would consider the SW Motech bar back variables. I'm going to keep these on my bike. I'm really happy with them. I'm going to get some good experience with them over the next year or two. But by keeping my T7, I'm not going to get rid of my T7 anytime soon. So I'm going to get a lot of experience with them. But the usage that I've got so far, really, really happy with it. And it has changed my riding position ever so slightly for the better, in my opinion. So don't forget, there's a link in the description down below for the 22, the 28 and the 32mm bar back variable bar risers. So click on one of those links for the appropriate height that you want. There's also a link to SW Motech shop itself as well anyway, if you just want to have a look around. So click on either of those links for what you want to do. Any comments or feedback, questions, do let me know. Leave them in the description down below underneath this video, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you again very soon.